New World Aeternum opened the gates and allowed players to jump in and try this MMORPG in its new state with the open beta, and I played it. And with New World Aeternum, I was surprised at how much more polish and content it now has right out of the gate. This version now sets up the intro in a much more interesting way and added a ton more story and voice acting to the entire experience. Also, it will be cross-platform cross-play between PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5, so no matter what platform you're on, you'll be sharing a server with the other players on the other platforms. And this is really great news for console MMO lovers because they don't have a lot of options this generation. Elder Scrolls Online, Final Fantasy XIV, those are really the only high-quality MMO options available on consoles. And adding New World, especially in this much more high-quality kind of state it's in now with the Aternum, is kind of a breath of fresh air and a completely different MMO experience than the previous MMOs I mentioned are. Now let's talk about my experience playing New World Aeternum, and you can kind of decide if you want to give it a go come launch here on October 15th, 2024. My name is Nathan, I cover MMOs and RPGs, so please hit that like button like it owes you money and subscribe for more. Now I want to start this off by just getting this out of the way. I did run into some bugs while I was playing on PlayStation 5, but throughout the weekend, I watched as they kind of patched and fixed those bugs that I was running into. So the test was obviously, in my opinion, there for a big part so that they could get some of these wrinkles ironed out. And I was overall impressed with how quickly they kind of resolved these issues throughout the test period. When New World first launched on PC, you could go back to my old video, I thought it was fun. I just felt like it wasn't completely all there. I played for a few months, I enjoyed my time, but the content, it just felt forgettable, at least for the most part, and it was kind of like there was only like a few handful of content ideas for the PvE, and you just kind of repeated those over and over and over until you got to max level. However, even back then, I thought the dungeon content was a lot of fun and offered a good challenge where, depending on your role, you kind of had to learn the mechanics and how to do that, and it kind of pushed you to get better at the game, and I thought it was really well done even back then. And back then I said that I felt like if Amazon continued to kind of work on this game, that they could really turn it into something special. And that's what Aternum is. It's kind of a new launch with brand new servers that's going to offer a much more polished and much more expanded and just simply a better version of New World. And although it's definitely not perfect, it is definitely worth a look. If you already own New World on PC, then you're going to get this update at no cost, which I gotta say, Amazon has been really good about offering players big updates and things like that on PC for free. So you gotta give them a little bit of credit. This definitely, in my opinion, is not a cash grab. They put a lot of effort into the Aternum update, and it's a pretty massive change from the original New World. We'll get to all that in a minute. But offering it for free to PC players is pretty cool. Now, if you want to own it on Xbox or PlayStation, however, you will need to pay for it. Now, the good news is that you just need to buy the game. The subscription, there is none. And also, I'd like to mention that at least so far from my experience, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I've not really seen anything in the cash shop that was intrusive or overly annoying. It's mostly like dyes for your armor and stuff like that. When you have a service, a game that requires constant updates and a decent-sized staff and all that kind of things, it costs money to keep the servers on. They need to make money somehow, and I feel like they've been pretty fair, balanced, and honest so far with New World. With all that out of the way, I want to start out by saying that New World Aeternum feels like a true open-world MMO. In case you've never played New World at all, it does have some sandbox elements mixed into it that give it a unique kind of feeling as you're playing. It doesn't feel like the other options out there. Like, it doesn't feel like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV or Elder Scrolls Online. It feels open. A lot of that has to do with some tricks they do, like when you chop down trees, they actually fall. Everybody sees that tree vanish. It respawns after a certain amount of time. There's a lot of tricks they do, but it feels good in that sense. And it's definitely unique in this market, and I think that's a good thing, especially console players. We've never had an MMO that I can think of on console that kind of felt a little bit sandboxy like this. EverQuest Online Adventures people, I know about you. I know. Listen, I know, okay? Now, beyond all that, though, they have revamped the PvE content. It used to feel like it was, like I said, just the same handful of quest types during your journey all the way to max level. Now, New World has much more variety, and the way that the story is told along with the voice acting that they've added makes the journey to max level a joy instead of a chore. And the main story quests, it's a night and day difference from the way New World used to be, and it's just enjoyable, man. It's just a good experience that as long as you enjoy the combat, I personally do think it's pretty fun. You will end up playing this game much longer than you had originally anticipated because it is addicting, it is fun. And I applaud Amazon for fixing these things with the PvE content and making it a better experience and a better journey to max level. Now, I did some research and I was a little shocked to discover that if you play New World today on PC, a lot of these changes are already in the game, minus some of the cutscenes, especially the opening there. They completely changed that initial experience as soon as you make your character kind of feel to it. That is completely changed. But beyond that, you know, once you're on that beach, it is kind of already in the game now for PC players, that PvE and main story quest changes. So that shows me that this content has been fixed and updated for a while in preparation for the console release and this new release of New World Aeternum. Now, some changes are in place since launch. I should mention, just in case you aren't aware, you can now swim. They finally did it. It took them a few years, but you jump into deep water and you swim. I don't know why that took so long. I don't know. But also, there are mounts in the game that are obtainable. These mounts have been in the game since, the Angry Earth update, I think it was called. But for those that haven't played before or haven't played since launch or not long after launch, I thought I should mention those things. They're also, they've added quite a few new weapons, and weapons are kind of like your class in New World Aeternum. Which weapons you have equipped kind of decides your fighting style and the abilities that are available for you, and the weapons actually level up independently from your character's level. And yes, you can level them all up and max out all the different weapons, but you can only have 2 equipped at a time to kind of build out your build in your class. Aternum will release also for Aternum, they will be releasing a new raid for endgame. And if Amazon Game Studios continues to kind of update and add more content beyond the release of Aternum, it could be something very special, and I believe it will end up retaining an audience, especially when you consider that console players are hungry for a new MMORPG, even more than PC players, and they're likely going to help keep the servers full of players, both old and new. Now, let's talk about the issues with New World Aeternum. The largest concern is that the endgame will not be updated sufficiently or fast enough to kind of keep players invested. So I think most PvP players overall they're gonna probably have most of their feel, but for PvE type content, Amazon's just gonna need to keep up with the player base and keep rolling out content to keep them interested and keep them playing the game. I do think the journey to max will be loved by most with this new experience, but it's the stay power of Aternum that's going to decide if it's got that long-term success, and the only way to do that is with content. Now, with all the work Amazon has done to get New World to this state for Aternum, one could assume that they're going to be on top of this, but only time will tell. Also, New World Aeternum is still the same combat style as it was before. It's very action RPG with weapon swapping to get more abilities out of your character. If you're a fan of, say, like Final Fantasy XIV or any tab target kind of combat, New World is... It's not that. Okay, it's not. The best way I can describe the combat for anyone that hasn't played it is think of Elder Scrolls Online, but it actually feels good and not clunky. Regardless of it feeling smooth and fun, some are just not going to like this action-based combat, and others are going to love it. Let me know in the comments how you feel about that. Now, some might call this next thing I'm going to talk about a plus. For me, it's a negative, okay? And look, MMO devs, you can't win with this one, okay? There's a lot of things some of us love, some of us hate, all that kind of thing. The leveling is really fast. You can practically just run through the main story quests and make it to max level with no grinding at all. Tons of people are going to be happy about this, okay? I get it. I've always enjoyed a little bit of a grind, making it feel like getting to max level is a bigger deal. That's just me, though. But to me, that's a bit of a negative. And lastly, I did see, like I mentioned before, I did see some bugs. I crashed a couple of times during the beta, and although I watched them fix most of these throughout the play period, I still think it's going to launch with a few issues here and there, especially for console players, where there hasn't been as much testing on those platforms. I do expect that some players are going to see no issues at all, and others are going to run into a bit of weirdness sometimes. Overall, though, for a launch, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Overall, New World Aeternum is different and fun enough for me to play it at least casually and see where it goes from there. It still has the most addicting gathering in any MMO, in my opinion. Why is chopping trees so much fun in this game? I don't know, but it is. The music is good, the sound effects are phenomenal, and the gameplay is fun. And that's enough for me to give it a shot. I will likely give it a go on PlayStation 5 this time, just for that, kind of relaxing couch action during downtime from the channel, and I expect to have a great time. New World Aeternum and Amazon, I think they deserve some respect for taking New World from what it was, which was kind of a mid-tier experience, and turning into something special that really does highlight its strengths and fixes most of its weaknesses. But what about you? What about you? That's what matters. Do you plan on giving New World another shot with Aternum? Do you think the improvements are enough? Did you play New World in the past? Did you play the beta? Do you still play it now? Let me know. And also what platform you're planning on playing. And don't forget to hit that like button before you leave. And please subscribe for more MMO and RPG content. And until next time, my friends, God bless and happy gaming.
Thank you to the members of Napalm on YouTube and the subs on Twitch. You too can support the Nathan Napalm by clicking join right below this video or by subscribing on Twitch and become a part of the Napalm family. Thanks to your support, I can keep streaming and bringing you the ultimate MMO and RPG entertainment. And I want to give a very big shout out to the Lords of Napalm. Bounty Code, Jared Woodhouse, Daimlos, Farthest Reach, Random Rob, What's the Takeaway, My Boot in Your Ass, Aaron Owen. Thank you for your highest tier membership. Join today and keep the Nathan Napalm geared up and ready for adventure.